and welcome to Pricing College with your hosts, Joanna Wells
and Aidan Campbell.
Today, we'll be asking the question, will people buy more of a product that costs a lot more?
I'll kick off with this one because I want to reminisce my university days. And when doing economics, there was a famous concept of a Giffen good or a Giffen product, which I believe stems from a couple of hundred years ago in France, where people say they had a staple good such as flour, bread, potatoes, that sort of thing, rice, and the poor people could only afford, that was their staple food. And the concept was if you increase the price on that food, they would be even worse off, and so they would have to get all their nutrients from that one product. So in theory, if you increase the price of bread in pre-revolutionary France, the theory was potentially people would buy more of the bread.
And as we're reminiscing about university days, maybe I'll reminisce about my psychology course and talk about price perception. It's quite a common theme in psychology, like people perceive prices in different ways, and research shows that when a price is lower, people perceive that product to be maybe inferior, cheaper, maybe not aligned to their needs. And equally, if a price point is higher, people tend to perceive that as having more quality, more value, and something they want, and even down to even those status sort of drivers we were talking about in earlier episodes, they want to align themselves to that product.
Yeah, I think that, there's a very old common saying that says, if it seems too good to be true, it probably is. And a lot of people, there's a couple of things. They don't have the specific knowledge about the product they're buying, especially if it's, a little bit more complex, a chemical product, something even as simple as toothpaste. If it's something like that, they don't have that knowledge. But there's also the safety in crowds mentality. There's an idea that if you go into a shop and see a price set at a certain price point, other people have already purchased at that point. And so, you feel they've already made the choice, and it makes you feel more content and comfortable in the choice you make.
And looking at that example of toothpaste, there's so many different types of brands and versions of toothpaste. But toothpaste is an interesting one because there's a high risk factor when you buy toothpaste. There's a lot of chemicals that go in it. And really, especially if you've got for yourself, your children, your family, you want to know that the toothpaste is really, it's not going to kill you. It's good quality, it's got the right chemical components, the right balance. We're not pharmacists, chemists. We don't know really what we're buying here. There's a lot of trust involved, and so when you buy that toothpaste, you can be sort of split off into groups, and we're talking about that before, segmentation. What type of buyer are you? You're going to go for that sort of lower priced groups, that price segmentation, or are you going to go for a more expensive toothpaste that you believe is more trustworthy, it's not going to kill you, it's got all the research, the latest research around it, and the price point is high, and that therefore you align yourself with that higher price point based on all those value drivers combined?
I think you go into a supermarket, say in Australia or most countries, there's probably 10 or more options for toothpaste. I don't think any more than 1 in 100 people would read through the chemical components that make up that toothpaste. So in reality, we've no idea what we're purchasing. The price differential can be very large. You could go from like $1.50 a tube of toothpaste to even up to 10 or 12 bucks. But it's, fundamentally, it's a small difference in your weekly or monthly grocery bill. So a lot of people think de-risk it, think of the money they're going to save down the line, and better teeth and a brighter smile, etc. And so they pay more, and they choose the better one, and they think it costs more, so it must be better.
Yeah, so we touched on, in terms of that toothpaste example, we touched on the health. When people buy it because they're risk averse, and because of the trust. But they also buy, as Aidan mentioned there, because aesthetically, they want brighter teeth. And you can see some of the branding on toothpaste boxes, Hollywood Smile. And those type of products actually have a higher price premium on them, even more so than the sort of more health and chemical production and everything being sort of scientifically examined. I think the ones with a cosmetic appeal on top of that, i.e. whitening, you have a higher price premium. You can even get up to a $12 a packet for those type of products. And even often with those, they have an additional sort of attachment, like maybe a special toothbrush that works well with that toothpaste to get you that brighter smile. So that goes into, premium, high price and price bundling to appeal to a certain segment that really want that Hollywood smile. Maybe they're thinking about a Hollywood actress, their favorite, and they want to be like that. Who knows? But that price premium is all based on those particular value drivers.
We'll go from teeth whitening to a product that can make your teeth darker. And that's an example I think of is purchasing red wine. So say you're going to visit a friend or family, you've been invited over for dinner, and you think, I have to bring something, I have to bring a gift with me. So like a nice bottle of wine is a classic example. I'll be honest, I put my hand up and say, I like wine, but I'm not an expert. I don't know the vineyards, I don't know enough about where the product comes from to really know what a bottle of wine is worth. And so if I'm going in to buy a bottle of wine to bring to, as a gift, I'll be honest, I'll be picking very generic. I'll know Shiraz, I'll know this sort of stuff, but I'll be very much guided by the price points in the shop. I don't want to embarrass myself or come across, cheap, and so I won't buy a very cheap bottle to bring to my friend's house. I'll have a price point in mind that I'm not ashamed of, and that hopefully will reflect well on me. And I'll pick the one that the shop guides. For all I know, that wine is not really a great wine, but the shop is selling it at that price, and so I assume, if they sell it at this price, more knowledgeable people than me, or crowds, the statistical validity of crowds purchasing, this bottle of wine must be good.
And the same would go for you're inviting some friends, you want to take some friends out for dinner, and the question is, where do you take them? They might not be your best friends. We want to make a good impression. So you'll be thinking, okay, what restaurant, what experience suits us, would I identify with, and I'd want them to understand me within that context. So you're actually even then thinking about you're anchoring yourself, or like framing value in terms of the restaurant that you choose. So within all of this, when we ask the questions, would people pay more for products? I think they would, but a lot of techniques are involved in this, like framing, anchoring, segmentation, wouldn't you agree, Aidan? It's not just a simple question.
No, I think it's again, this is segmentation. Why are people buying? I certainly do believe that by increasing prices in certain areas, you will sell more of a product, vis-a-vis other products, or just stand alone. Like the examples we give are two tangible ones. I think there's a whole fleet of other examples. You could go through. Even buying batteries. So you need batteries for your remote control for your television set, which we covered in a previous ad or episode. The simple example, you could buy a branded battery, which would be Duracell, which will certainly be at a price premium to some of the cheaper brands. For all I know, I don't run statistical tests. I don't really know if this battery lasts longer or it's more reliable. It's charged. It costs more, and they claim on the label it does. I don't really know if it does or not. So yeah, generally, I will pay more for the Duracell or the branded battery. And I do believe that the higher price point of Duracell is pushing people to buy more of it.
I suppose you probably wouldn't buy it if you then learned after you bought it that it didn't meet its service. It was actually broke down. All the guarantees that were given they weren't abided by. The company just didn't do anything. Those sorts of things. Then you would think, you know what, I will switch to another brand. And I think this is a problem that is occurring. I think a lot of brands say one thing, but actually they don't live by that. And customers are quite savvy, and they'll work out whether the value proposition is real or not. And if they find out that it's not, then they'll try alternatives.
Yeah, I think even just discussing this topic, I sort of have the opinion that people will buy more of an item if it's more highly priced in the area where there's a lack of expert knowledge. So they're not experts in what they're purchasing. We covered procurement in a previous episode, and I think this is where procurement comes into its own. If you're choosing two types of toothpaste, and the procurement people were experts in toothpaste and chemical makeup, they could get a great bargain by choosing the cheaper one. It's almost like a premium you're paying to compensate for the lack of knowledge or the time that you would have to invest to really know which is which. The same with the battery. In the reality, we all expect batteries to give out sooner or later. And so as long as it's not immediately, a couple of weeks, a couple of months, that battery gives out, we're not really going to complain, and we're not going to really notice it. It's not that important to us. So I think we pay that premium. We trade premium. We trade money for, the time that we would need to invest to really research the product.
And this is common in pricing strategy. New, novel, unusual products tend to be priced using a skimming approach. And then products that we kind of are aware of, they consider, they're already out in the market. Companies usually use a penetration pricing strategy for those type of products, which is quite a more competitive pricing strategy. But yeah, look, overall, I think people are willing to pay a higher price when the value is there, when it's proven. And they'll continue to pay that price within reason. I mean, obviously, there's going to be shifts in the economy and crisis that we're all aware of, we're living through right now. But still, people will pay for value because, it's meeting a need. It's serving a problem. It's addressing a problem that customers may have. And there's nothing worse than having to go back into the shop, rethink this all the way through, because fundamentally we're all quite lazy. We want things to work, and it's better just to pay a little bit of price premium for that convenience.
We are pack animals at the end of the day, and we move in crowds. It's very rare for people to be real lone wolves, to use another example. So I think if you have a high price tag, the price tag on a product or service, it's a price, it's the number you pay, but it's also some form of branding. There's also other psychological aspects with that. It's a confidence in the company selling it to put that high price on that product. It insinuates that this may not be for everyone, but this is a high quality product. And I think that translates somewhere into our, in our minds, and we will buy more of these products under certain circumstances. So yeah, that's all I've got to say on this point. I think, have a great day.
Yeah, thanks a lot.